Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Creatives Worldwide podcast. This is a brand new podcast we started 2 weeks ago, and my name is Wendy Hatton, and I'm here with my lovely co-host and cousin, Miss Karen Rios. Hi, Karen.
Hello there, Wendy. How are you doing?
Doing good. It was just the two of us in our first episode because we kind of shared our journey and everything. We had our first guest last week, and we're supposed to have another guest today. But as you see, it's just the two of us right now. So I'm sure Jake Gray will be here momentarily. When he is here, we will just continue talking to him. But for now, we were thinking, what should we talk about till he comes? And so Karen has just recently experienced an injury, which highly affects her entrepreneurial effectiveness because she's a dancer. And how can she do her gigs, her dance gigs like that, feeling like she does? So, Karen, how did you actually happen? How did that happen to you anyway?
It is so funny. So if there are any dancers out there, what has happened is I have, or anybody actually, because I'm sure that other people experience this, but I pulled my psoas, which is it is that tendon that is your hip connector one. So the hip is a really important joint for me to use. But the pain actually goes all the way from my lower back to my knee. So
like sciatica, right?
It's very similar. Yeah. And I'm assuming that it was while I was at the gym because I started lifting weights about a year or so ago just to cross train. And up until yesterday, or up until 2 days ago, it was a wonderful experience. I actually was enjoying cross training, but I'm assuming that I did something at the gym, and whether it was a form technical thing, but I was fine. Got home, and by that night, I was in miserable pain, literally. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's not living, And so as I was sharing with Wendy a little bit earlier, so my mom is calling up because somebody has just contacted her because they want me to dance at a wedding. And I love dancing at weddings. That is like one of my favorite things to do. And I'm literally telling my mom, yes, please go on and give my information. And I'm dying on the inside because I'm wondering, when is this going to happen? And am I going to be healthy? Am I going to be whole? Am I going to be able to do this? Because as I'm ending one entrepreneurial journey and starting another entrepreneurial journey where I'm going to be dancing more, it's kind of coming at a
very untimely time.
It's not the best time at all.
So did you find out when the wedding actually is?
I have not found out when the wedding actually is, which is right now, that's a good thing because I've been doing a lot of icing and pressure point, like finding the pressure point and trying to relax that part of my hip and everything.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm sure, weddings are planned so far ahead of time. So I'm sure you're going to be fine by the time the wedding happens, right?
I hope so.
Brian, my son, who's a photographer, wedding photographer, he gets these wedding jobs a year in advance. So if that's the same with you, you're good.
That is great. But what's really interesting about the dance industry is I think a lot of people think that we just can hop on stage and do it. You know what I mean? Without a lot of necessarily lead-in time. And so,
right.
Here we go. And Jake is with us. Yay.
Hey, sorry about that. I was like digging through email. I had the meeting on my calendar, but I was like, there was no meeting link in the thing, and I was frantically digging through old emails to find the
Hopefully
thing.
You got my email, or I hope you got my one I just sent you.
Yeah, apologies for my tardiness.
No problem. We were just talking about injuries. Like Aaron has an injury as a dancer, which is not good.
Yes.
It's right on it's my hip, which is like the worst place in the world for it to be. My hip and lower.
I've known a couple dancers, and that always seems like a very an easy way to get injured, especially as one gets older.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Did we have to bring age into it? But yes, you were right.
right. So in my case, if I have a knee injury, which I did a couple of years ago, or if I have a wrist, might be a little bit more challenging, which I do have a little bit of a strain here, but I could just sit and just do my job that way. And it's probably the same with you too, huh?
Yeah, I did. I've done a few Tough Mudders. I don't know if you know what those are. Those are those like 10 to 12 mile obstacle events. They're super grueling.
Oh,
I had torn my meniscus and didn't realize it and completed a race, and it just gradually got worse over a couple of years. And you get a little older, and when you exercise, have you ever played this game? Is that an injury or am I just old? And so I was doing some triathlons at the time too, not the big long ones. They're called the sprint triathlons. And so I would go out jogging a couple times a week and didn't realize that the whole time that pain in my knee was a torn meniscus, and it just took forever to deal with. And I tore my patella on my other knee playing ice hockey, so.
Have you ever injured anything that affected your playing or your
gigging? Yes. When I was very young, I was the head bartender at this college bar. It would put like 1,000 people in the door. And one night we had the hockey team for the university I was going to at the time was having their annual banquets thing, dinner. And then after the dinner, so they were let in early. They had their dinner and all their rewards. And then the bar opened and all the people came in. This guy was hitting on this gal in front of my station. And I didn't know he was a hockey player or whatever. So these two guys get in a scrum in front of the thing. And right then my head bouncer was walking by and I said, "Kevin, this guy out." And and then turned out when Kevin started taking this dude to the door, dudes came out of everywhere. It turned into this amazing brawl, and it was 20, 30 minutes before I didn't realize it was a hockey player, so they all came to the defense of their teammate. Turned into this 20, 30-minute brawl, but I punched one guy in the head and broke a knuckle on this hand, and couldn't play my guitar for weeks. I was also on the racquetball team at that time, and I couldn't hold on to a racket, for weeks, which impacted my ability to perform at the national championships. So, you're young, you do stupid shit, you learn things.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And the other thing that we don't talk about is when you get older, a little bit older, it takes longer to heal. But
but
it's longer.
Right.
He's really active though. That's really amazing.
That's true. So we would like to hear your journey. Like how you got started. Journey? Yes. Like your whole
Go for it.
Where should I start? After the time I punched that dude in the head?
Start with the creative entrepreneurial side of it. Like how did you start it and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. So on my musical journey, I started very young. My parents bought me a guitar, like a cheap dime store guitar. There was a store called Giant Way. It was like they had all the stuff, like you have back then. They had groceries, but you could buy furniture, like a department store.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's sort of like a Walmart these days, where Walmart sells food and all the stuff. Mm-hmm. They bought me a cheap $10 acoustic guitar, and I started playing that. I had this was the 70s. Our family had some hippie friends. And this gal taught me how to play the mountain dulcimer, and then started showing me how to play some stuff on the guitar. And it was like sort of hit or miss. And then in high school, I really started to get serious about it and playing. But I've always, been a songwriter, even though those songs when I was 10 or 11 were stupid. It's funny. There's a saying, and I think it's Dolly Parton says this. It says, you got to write 100 bad songs before you get to a good one. And I've thought about that, and as my craft has improved, I think I'm a really good songwriter now, and I make no bones or apologies about it. Yeah, I'm super good at it now. But awesome. Oh man, I was bad at it. It was so funny. I'm cleaning my office, and this is in the back of my mind. And I've put out, what am I on, my 7th full length album? So that's 70 some odd songs that I've taken the time to actually record. I was cleaning my office, going through some old stuff, and I came across this manila folder. And there was no label on it or anything. And I go, what's in here? Open it up. All these songs that I wrote in the 80s. And I was like, oh my God, these are horrible. But I am certain that I was very passionate about them at the time. And it was kind of funny. There was one song in there that was kind of gold. I wrote the song in 1987, and I love that song. And my wife loved that song when we first started dating. She's like, that's such a great song. I never bothered recording it until I got a few albums in. I was like, man, I keep playing this song. I should, put it down. And that's probably the longest time I went between having written the song and then decades later actually finally recorded the thing. So there were a couple gems in there, but oh my God.
That reminds me, like, I bet you the people that heard your early songs that you didn't think were very good, I think that they probably thought that they sounded great. And so the reason I'm saying this is because this week I'm playing a concert. It's all Mozart. And we're doing the first symphony of Mozart. And I wanted to find out how old he was when he composed it. He was 8 years old. 8 years old. And it sounded good. He probably thought it didn't sound good at all. And then we're also doing the 40th and the 41st. And you can tell the difference in his maturity, but still the first one was really good. So,
well, I think it's funny that sort of the evolution that I go through is what's my favorite song? The song that I just wrote. Whatever song that I just wrote, that's my favorite. That's my baby. I'm passionate about it, and blah, blah, blah. And then you go through some time and you work on it and stuff like that, or you write another song and then that becomes your favorite. Then you go back and whenever I've written a song, that's good. That's a good song. And but then as I progress and I think back to some of these older songs, I go, oh, they're so bad. Yeah, it's part of the evolution. Well, or the finer evolution I've done probably on the last 2 albums is going from good songs to having a couple like great songs. And it's a subtle difference, and it's a really honing of one's craft. I'm sure Mozart was, I would bet, when he was working on number 40 and if he went back and heard number 1, he was like, I hate that thing. I hate everything about this. Putting myself in his place. Yeah, you think back and maybe other people do think it's good. And then there's, feedback that I had over the years when I would craft something new. People go, oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. But is it good enough in today's terms? Is it good enough for you to decide to play it? Is it good enough that you would put it on one of your playlists? Is it good enough that you would share it with one of your friends? Hey, look at this gem I came across. That's a difference between a good song and a great song. And that level of sharing has only really been on these last two albums.
So when
I'm sorry. I was gonna just ask you about your process a little bit. Do you come up with this tune as well as your songwriting at the same time, or do you come up with the song first and then put it with a tune that you compose yourself, or how does that work for you?
This is my favorite question whenever I talk to other creatives, because the answer is, yep, I definitely do it like that. So different things depends on different circumstances, and we can talk about what I did, where I did Songwriter Sunday, where I was intentional about songwriting. So most of my life, my songwriting was when inspiration happened, which is fine. And in fact, I was mystified by other creatives that I knew that would talk about, I'm having a songwriting session with blah, blah, blah. And I go, like, on purpose? Like, you're setting aside time to go write some stuff. You're not waiting for inspiration. You're just going to write something. And I was like, how does that work? And I have, a couple stories. Like one time we were backpacking out west, and I wrote this song in my head called 3 Days on the Mountain. I had forgotten to bring writing utensils and paper with me, which is something I always bring on my backpacking excursions, to journal or write or whatever. So I wrote the whole song in my head and then had to memorize it by singing it to myself when I was on the trail. And so when I came home, then I sat down and I just wrote it down, which that was a little bit of a feat to in my head. And then I go, yeah, I've got the whole thing right here. And then I just wrote it down. And then that was amazing. Other times I'm just sitting here at my desk. With my little buddy.
Oh.
And then if inspiration strikes, or this is how inspiration strikes, I just start playing random crap on the guitar until something strikes me and go, oh, that sounds nice. And then I write it down. Or I write everything here. If an idea comes to me that I think is clever, I write it down. And then sometimes, so what I did was, when I would go into to the studio to do an album project, I would usually have 6 or 7 songs done that had been written via inspiration, knowing that if I was going to finish the project, I would have to write 3 or 4 songs during that time period. The only problem with that is sometimes they're good songs, sometimes maybe not. And so then you sort of think back to our childhood and go, I think this album had like 1 hit on it and a bunch of filler tracks. I go, that's how that happened. They were in the studio under the gun, had to write something. So then I went through this process where I decided to challenge myself to see if I could write a song every week. So I called it Songwriter Sunday. Every Sunday, writing a song. To be fair, sometimes I would start a fragment of the song on like Monday and then add to it. But by Sunday, got to be done. Though I will say one Sunday, I actually wrote 3 songs and tossed 2 aside because I hated them. And then what happened was, so over the course of a year, I wrote more than 52 songs. I wound up writing like 64, which was, here's what happened. It was a surprising thing happened on that journey. I was worried that I would be repetitive, doing the same things over and over again. But I'm always trying to stretch and try different ideas, different chord progressions as I continue. I'm old, but I continue to learn. And what happened was by forcing myself to do this, it just unlocked this amazing creative period in my life. That was, I was really kind of shocked. I go, oh, okay, now I get it. And then, so what happened was, when I was working on this new album that's coming out, there was one song that I had recorded like 4 albums ago. I felt like we had never given it a fair treatment. So re-recording that, but then I picked the top 12 out of that 64 that fit a certain style that I was shooting for, and went, okay, these are going to be the songs. So not stuff I was writing at the last second, stuff I had compiled over a year and then just picked the best of the best. Difference between good songs and great songs, turns out.
Interesting.
Awesome.
So I have the link of you did an interview in Nashville, and I have that link. Do you remember?
In Knoxville?
Yeah,
Did I do it in Nashville?
Yeah, it was the blue plate something. Blue plate.
Oh, Blue Plate Special. That's local to Knoxville.
Oh,
Knoxville. WDVX runs the Blue Plate.
Okay.
Special.
So would you like us to play it for everyone?
Pardon?
Would you like us to play it for you? I can play it with you. Play it for you, actually. No, you gave me the link. Oh, okay. She can.
Yeah, you could share the link, but yeah.
Really? Oh, I can share the link, but you don't want me to actually play it right now?
No.
I'm glad I asked. Okay, what if you?
I do love the Blue Plate Special. I've been there. I think that was my 4th time. Whenever I have a new project coming up, I do like to visit there and just talk to them. Red Hickey there, the host. She's a great interviewer and a great host. And it's a good way to get out in front of people and also meet some of the other artists in town. I've met some great folks doing that show.
Okay, so do you mind if because we have our YouTube channel, do you mind if we put the link there?
No, go ahead. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. So the other thing I was going to ask, if you would want to play one of your songs that you've written so many.
Oh,
example.
Like play it on my guitar, like right now?
Yeah, if you want to.
I think the challenge is the microphones don't work very well and they get flooded out.
Oh, really? Oh, darn. Okay.
Yeah. Something about doing music, and I've played with this on multiple things. And we could just do a thing. I'll show you. So here. Is that overpowering the mic?
No.
It's working?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay.
This is another platform, that other video conferencing platform.
Yeah, okay. So this is all right, I'll play the song. This is called Where I Might Land.
Okay.
Kind of a Tom Petty-esque thing. That's what my daughter said. Breaks don't always seem to come my way. Grinding here on the day-to-day. One more bill that I have to pay. bliss. Recognize all the ways I've been blessed. I keep my nose to the grindstone so my boss is impressed. I don't want the work if I was to confess just the way that it is. Weekends come, my little unsupervised. Gonna see if these broken dreams can fly. Taking on with this guitar in my head. No telling, no telling where I might land. Where I might land. Spent a million years just watching the clock. I've got a dreams and I'm still taking stock. The mystery's alive, I'm still trying to lock out the way that it is. Glad I still have you by my side. Life's little bumps, we just take them in stride. Cheer me on when I'm dissatisfied with the way that it is. Weekends come, I'll be left with the light. We're gonna see if these broken dreams can fly. Taking on with this guitar in my hand. And it's no time. No telling where I might land. Where I might land. No telling. Come, Bobby, love surprise. Gonna see if these broken dreams can fly. Taking on with this guitar in my head. Yeah, no telling, no telling where I
Awesome. That is so awesome.
That's so impressive. Like both Karen and I do performances with using other people's music, and so it's very impressive that somebody can actually write their own music and play.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a thing. Some people can't. I've noticed that.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear your inspiration. Just to hear to hear your inspiration, because you've got to find it in a different place than those of us who use other people's music does, because that creative funnel is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sort of my thing too is when I'm writing a song, I will often say it's a 2-act play in 3 minutes. You're telling a story, introducing characters, a scene, and I try to focus like many of the great songwriters. You know, you think about Don Henley or Lennon and McCartney and these George Harrison, Paul Simon, great songwriters. They're great songs, told stories, and walk you through a little 3-minute journey there. So, and that song in particular, it's kind of funny. Part of it evolved from a little jokey joke that we have, where if like my wife's going to go shopping or her and the kids are off, and then I'm here, I go, I'm being left unsupervised. I sort of can't be responsible for what happens. And it was funny. We took that unsupervised thing, and I decided to make that the name of the album that's coming out.
Oh,
May 6th. So it's Unsupervised.
cool.
But the recurring thing, there's in terms of songwriting, that is a kind of a more of a standard structure where you got verse, chorus, little instrumental break, chorus, out. I think about structure all the time and try to think about how to keep things interesting. One of my favorite things now is verse, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus, out. And because that means every minute or so, or every 30 seconds, something interesting or different is happening in the song as you're telling the story. So always thinking about how to keep the listeners' attention as you're crafting a thing. But and that song, each line of each verse re-emphasizes trying to understand something about the way that it is, whatever that is, the way things are, or whatever. And just, the verses take the listener through, I'm just like everybody else, we're just grinding through the thing. And probably there's a lot of people who can identify doing a job that maybe they're not big fans of.
Right.
And then going through that, and then talking about, and then the verse is the weekends come, I've been left unsupervised. And then that's where I'm going to see if these broken dreams can fly. And that's the twist, to just kind of go, hey, I've got some things to myself. Let's see where this goes. So, and then the final verse is thanking the person for accompanying me on that journey. That song's super personal, where sometimes songs are writing exercises. I will literally think of a topic and decide I'm going to write something about a thing, or you get inspired by a thing, so you write a thing. But different songs have different degrees of, shall we say, autobiographical nature to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of them. Yeah, when I listen to the studio version of that song, I had this. First of all, I play with some outstanding musicians. They're just phenomenal. So I love working with them. Terry Phillips, drums, Jeff Roller, bass, just amazing. Neil Capps on piano for this last album. I've known Neil for a while. And then Ryan Dunaway on violin. Ryan Dunaway's violin on that song was so awesome. I was like, I'm giving you 8 bars. Go. On the outro. And I tell you what, I've heard that song a million times from the time that I've written it. I always say, when I write a song, I will play it 100 times before I go someplace and play it, to do a test drive in front of a live audience and that sort of thing. And then you got the recording process where you're adding all the instrumentation, all the production notes and values and contributions from other artists, and then to get to a final product. And then I've listened to it hundreds of times. And that song still gets me every damn time I listen to it. And I go, that song's a keeper.
Wow. Is it on your latest album coming out?
Yeah. In fact, that song is coming out as a single. Let me check the calendar real quick.
Ah. And as he's checking, if you're on Be Connected, look on the left in the middle button is his link to his website that you can go to.
Where I Might Land will come out April 8th.
April 8th.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
in a few days.
That's a few days.
Yeah, next week.
That's right.
Oh wow! So yeah, we'll put. Let's see. Is there some kind of a link that people can go to, like on YouTube, when they look at your episode, that will take them somewhere where they can?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel.
Oh, you do? So
yeah, all my stuff gets published to.
Okay, you can give me that, and we can.
Yeah, let me drop it into the chat.
Put in
There's
the
the Jake Gray thing. Oh, how about
see
if
the
then it'll take
a little bar down on the bottom with all the little icons. You'll see a chat-looking icon.
A chatty looking thing.
Yes.
Yeah, let me grab. Okay, here we go. Jake Gray, American poet.
Excellent.
That's me. Now let's get back to the show. A little chatty thing.
We want. Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Yes.
And so we have another question that we would like to ask everyone. Karen, did you want?
Okay.
You can go for it.
Oh, okay. So we're just curious what your perspective is, just in case any other creative entrepreneurs are listening, or anyone who would like to become one. What is your perspective on the overall industry and what someone should do in order to become successful as a creative entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Just from your.
I tell you what, it's a lot of work. You got to love it. I mean, you got to. I would create if nobody listened.
Oh,
that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I would. In fact, I do have a song come out that came out last month, 2 months ago. I'm still the star, and the line in there is, in my living room. The whole song is about. It's really an homage to creators, and the grind, and how you could beat your head against the wall and not see success. But the fact is, I would do this anyways. And so there's a line in there, in my living room, I'm still the star. So, yeah, that's a great song. Really, kind of more of a classic country-ish kind of song. Where I poke fun at the industry a little bit. So the challenge. So do it for really. So doing it for yourself. That way you're authentic and you're not trying to be anybody else. You could take inspiration from other people. I've been influenced by dozens of artists, and it shows up when I'm thinking about what a certain song should sound like when we're in production. But yeah, do it for the love of it. But then also what I've learned is be intentional about your craft, and constantly learning. Gosh, I have learned so much on this journey. And I remember I was teaching myself how to play the piano, and I'm horrible at it because I made this decision in the 90s. I said, I'm going to learn everything there is to know about playing guitar, my primary thing. And then when I said, I will switch to piano when I've learned all there is to learn on guitar. Here we are decades later. Yeah, still learning stuff. So, and then the other thing is, yeah, when you're a sort of an indie solo artist, you're the marketing department. It's so funny too. If you're going to record and release a song, writing the song and finishing the song. Oh, finish the damn song. I can't tell you how many young people I've met that have written a song, or that they've written 3/4 of the song. Yeah, it's not quite done. Go finish the damn song. At some point, you got to decide when it's over. And it's funny. We have a little joke in the studio where I talk to Maya. I go, whenever you hear a song fade out, I go, that artist didn't know how to finish the song. They didn't know what to do at the end. Yeah, that's why he goes, you want to fade out? Never. if we ever fade out, I've sort of failed as an artist. But so you think about, okay, I write the song. Once you get the song done, the work's just start. Because now you write other songs, you compare them and go, what would be good enough for an EP if I'm going to do 3 songs, or if I'm going to do an album, 10 songs, putting that body to work. It takes a crap ton of time to record, and you might record at home. That's fine. I know some people that are still in the record at home, got a phase, and they're pretty good at it. And I used to do that too, just record at home, and you get a certain level of production value at home. And now I've gotten to a stage in my career where A, I've got the money, and B, I've more particular about what I want to hear. So I pay for studio time. And then I did an album where I played everything but the drums. My wife played the drums on an album just to say I did everything. But now I work with other talented people because I don't just want their talent. I want their creative input into the process. And so there's that aspect of it, getting something recorded. Okay, now it's recorded. Now you got to market it. And a lot of people, they stop there at the recording thing. Oh, I'm just going to put it out on the socials and it'll take off. Not everybody takes off when you put it out there, so you got to market it. And then if you want to build an audience, you have to build a following by going out and playing. So you got to take the dive. It's scary. Get behind a mic and go play in front of people. But if they like the stories you're telling, you'll gain a following. And really, if your goal is to be a successful songwriter, you have to build a following. Record companies don't develop artists anymore. And getting in bed with a record company is fraught with peril. The agreements they sign artists to, these 365 deals where the company owns everything, and they might forward you a bunch of money, but you got to pay them back.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you're going to be an indie artist, you got to build a following. If you want to convert to being a recording artist supported by like a label, you have to demonstrate that you have a following. You have to demonstrate that you can be creative. So
you can be on interviews like this too.
So you can be on interviews like this. And for me, it was, I recognized, okay, I got to do more marketing. I got to work with other people to do graphic arts and that sort of thing. And that stuff costs money. Yep. Part of the process, if you're trying to be somewhat successful, what's my goal? My goal is to someday sell a song to somebody who's more famous than I am, and then they take one of my songs. They take off.
So that's an interesting angle. Yeah.
So I tell you what, I do love playing out. This is my favorite thing. Awesome. And my favorite of favorite things is that the struggle when you're playing like local clubs where they want cover bands. They want to hear the cover songs, the songs people are familiar with. And I give that to them. Yeah, that's fun. But I always make sure that in a 3-hour set, we're playing at least 6 to 10 of my own stuff, because going, hey, we got some good songs too. Check us out. And then eventually you build a following doing that. But it's really amazing probably the most rewarding thing is not a financial reward. I like to say I've made dozens of dollars in this business.
Dozens of dollars.
Yeah. Is if somebody comes up and says, man, that song really spoke to me, or that moved me. I've had that happen a couple times. I wrote a song. It's called I Hate It Here. It's on my last album, Road Hard, I think it was. But yeah, guy came up I was getting ready to do the second one. He goes like, you wrote that? Oh yeah. He's like, dude. Yeah, if you can't put money on stuff like that. Or I was in England. I was in London, and I went to a pub that was having an open mic, and I was really debating, should I be doing this still as I get older? And I went to that open mic and I played my songs, and the crowd went nuts. I don't know if it's because I'm American, and they do love some American music over there, especially country and blues and stuff like that. They love that stuff, and I played it, and the crowd went wild, and I was like, oh shit, so this is what that's like. Well, I tell you, it's kind of funny. If you play in Knoxville here, there's so many talented musicians. Right down the road, 3 hours, Nashville, super talented there. I think the people that are in the audience, they get spoiled. They get spoiled by the quality of songwriting and musicianship that they have available to them.
And maybe start taking advantage, probably.
Yeah, and then if you go into like smaller venues, this is always funny to me. Going into a smaller venue and playing stuff and sort of just getting that feeling, and when the audience reacts, like they're like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, pro. Been doing this a long time. I didn't just fall off the learning how to play guitar bus.
Wow.
So that's a gratifying feeling.
I was thinking, Jake, that a couple of things that you said. One of the things is that as a storyteller, it seems that as that the older that you do get, because you're bringing much more lifetime things to the music too, which is kind of cool. I mean, I would say as a dancer, I feel that I'm dancing. Maybe not technically. Technically, I try to keep the technique the same, but it's more difficult to maintain the technique. But there's definitely more passion, more intentionality that I bring now as a
Interpretation.
dancer. Absolutely. And some of those are life experiences that are just really awesome. And the other thing is that, yes, my daughter and I love Nashville. We go to Nashville once a year about. And oh yeah, it's really awesome. So yeah, so I'm hoping that we'll get to hear you play
that would be awesome.
I'm going to be in Nashville July 19th.
There you go. All righty.
We're gonna be at Moonshine Harley Davidson in Franklin, Tennessee. It's just south of Nashville.
Yeah, Franklin is like some of our stomping grounds. We end up in Franklin a whole lot in Spring Hill.
That's where all the famous people live.
Wow, that's very cool. Well, this has been great, Jake. Thank you so much. So much.
Yeah.
Performance.
Thanks for asking me. I really appreciate you guys. I love talking about this crap.
Your music is amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much.
It is really very nice.
That's very kind.
Yeah. If anybody's watching on YouTube, you can go ahead and subscribe. I think we have a few subscribers now, and then you can like it, and then you can see any of the other upcoming interviews that we're doing. But Jake has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. So amazing.
I really enjoyed this experience, and really hope you have the best of luck. Talking to other creatives is really one of my favorite things. Because everybody's got a journey, everybody's got a story. They're all interesting.
Right. That's right. So that's the whole purpose of this podcast. So
there you go.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week, everybody. And we're going to have a remote photographer next week. So She does her work in her home, and then she has taken pictures of people all over the world. So,
well, that sounds fun.
That is
yeah, definitely. All right, we'll see you all next week, and thanks so much, Jake, for coming and seeing us and speaking.
Absolutely. All right,
Okay.
thanks, you guys. Cheers.
All right, bye bye.
Bye bye.